Welcome to Ep.4 of Heritage Bytes. I'm Rio, the founder of Dokai, and I'm also a certified thick boy and snack enthusiast. Because what's better than a deep conversation? A deep conversation with snacks. But it's not just about food. My goal here is to shine a light on the amazing culture and heritage of my guests and have them tell us about their life and their career as well. So with that, let's get snacking. My guest today is someone who makes me seriously question what I've been doing with my life. She's a Harvard undergrad, Stanford Graduate School of Business, product manager at Microsoft and Meta to start off. She worked at the freaking White House and then went full VC mode, Bain Capital, Launch House, and FX. She was a founder as well. And now she's a principal at Menlo Ventures, investing in AI, SaaS, consumer tech, out of their casual $1.35 billion fund. She was recently named one of Business Insider's rising stars in VC, and she's also kind of famous now, and she went viral recently. More on that later. CC, what did I miss?
Wow, you covered a lot.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Good. I'm hungry. Can I show you the snack that I brought?
Yes, I would love to see it.
All right. Yet another Indonesian classic. This here is called chocolatos. These things, I'll open it up. These things are shaped like cigars. And as a kid, I'd pretend like I was in the mafia, full on like Godfather mode. I brought the snack because it's an interesting branding case study, actually. Their slogan is Mamma Mia Lazatos. Lazatos ain't even a word. It's a made-up word. Lazat means delicious in Indonesian. They just slapped an OS at the end to make it sound Italian, and it actually worked. So when people see this, they think of Lake Como, Rome, and Italy. So it's just a good branding success story, making a snack seem luxurious.
It looks
I know
delicious.
yeah, it's good. I'll start eating. I know you brought a snack too, also something sweet, but it sounds like it's way lower on the glycemic index than mine. What
So
did you bring?
I brought some cut apples, and the story behind that is, growing up in a Chinese immigrant household, a love language of my parents is cut fruit. And so whenever I was working, doing my homework, my parents would like slip in with like a tray of cut apples. And so it just reminds me of home.
I love that. So you grew up eating apples and studying.
Basically.
That's
Basically.
healthy. Wow. Okay. Where did you grow up, by the way? Maybe we can start there. So let's start talking about your upbringing.
Yeah, I grew up in Anaheim. I moved around a lot when I was a kid, but mostly in Orange County, and spent a lot of my childhood in Anaheim, California, which is where Disneyland is. Fun fact, I went to Disney Elementary School,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that's a thing.
right next to Disneyland.
Oh, wow. You must have gone to Disneyland a lot.
I did. We
Did you
probably
get,
went an annual pass for 8 years in a row.
geez, did you get
And the
discounts?
annual pass, oh yeah, I mean the annual pass for locals back then was like $80. So you could go anytime you wanted, all year, for like $80.
Wow. Okay, I'm jealous. And I'm also jealous that growing up, your parents hooked you up with these apples as you were studying. Was it important to them that you were, staying on top of your studies? Were they like supporting you throughout all that?
They were really supportive. Mm, they weren't tiger parents for sure. They were just really supportive.
I love that. You got into Harvard, right? What did that mean for for you and for your family?
I think it just completely changed the trajectory of my life and my family. I think, my parents were, my dad worked in restaurants. My mom also worked in restaurants as servers. It's just very working class family. I don't think we knew anyone who had gone to Harvard or an Ivy League. And so no one in my neighborhood had gone to these schools. I remember I'd gotten into Yale early, and my mom had put like a my daughter got into Yale thing outside our apartment. And a neighbor walked by and was like, "What's Yale?"
That's that's so good. But you ended up choosing Harvard. How was that?
Yeah. It was hard. I actually said yes to Yale. And then my
Yale.
parents had, yeah, Yale. And my parents got some of our relatives in China to call me and say, we didn't go through all this to go to, yeah, basically go to Yale. Like, to them it was like Harvard or nothing. Like, they just heard of Harvard.
Oh my God. Getting
And
into Yale
I
is already amazing. But I guess it was Harvard or nothing. But it also sounded like they weren't too strict on you or anything.
uh-uh. They were really supportive. Just, yeah, really supportive. I think coming to America in a foreign country, you don't really know how the system works yet. So they just really trusted me.
You're like, this is like the American dream right here, right? You were born in Shanghai, y'all came here, and they worked their butts off. And Harvard, that's amazing. What a great story. And after that, you were a product manager at Microsoft and Meta. What were some of the exciting projects that you worked on?
Yeah, I think the most exciting one was HoloLens at Microsoft. So Microsoft had this original mission of a PC on every desk, and they kind of achieved that. And they were thinking, what's the next chapter? And mixed reality was a big theme that they were investing in at the time. This thinking that every person would have a wearable on their head, and we would blend the digital and the physical worlds moving forward. And that was just a really exciting inflection point for me, thinking about how technology is going to change all of our lives and be even more embedded into our lives. And so I was leading a team there on incubating. So thinking about consumer experiences when everyone has a wearable.
That's so cool. Was starting off in big tech a good move? Would you recommend it to anyone out there that's like a young professional?
I think there's no one path for anyone. Like, it's hard to recommend a path to anyone because, we all have different goals and different ways of working and what we succeed in. And I just know that sometimes you end up in the right place at the right time. And for me, that was definitely Microsoft. Like, I joined when Satya joined. And if you've seen the Microsoft stock, like, it's just been a straight, like, hockey stick since Satya joined. So it's been good for me.
And then
um,
so you joined
yeah.
Microsoft and then Meta, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of saw this transformation happening at Microsoft where Satya came in and brought a lot of energy. I don't know what Microsoft was like before, but I just saw the way he spoke internally to the company and this energy around change and growth mindset and innovation and the future. And I thought that was really exciting. Whereas when I joined Microsoft, it was still, it was quite a sleepy company that I joined. Not sleepy. No one calls Microsoft sleepy, but it had been pretty flatlined for a long time. And Microsoft's bread and butter is enterprise, so they wanted to pivot our team to enterprise, and that's when I moved over to Meta because I wanted to stick with building consumer experiences.
Would you have done anything differently, like out of college? Would you still have done big tech?
If I could have done anything, I think I just knew so little of the world. Like, Harvard really introduced me to the world in so many different ways. I traveled for the first time. I learned about so many jobs and so many industries I'd never known, but I think I still didn't know enough about the world and how much more there is. Like, if I'd known about venture capital, maybe I would have done it sooner. Um, in today's age, when things are moving so quickly, I don't even know what I would advise someone to do. Like, there's so much out there and so much is changing, so much is becoming obsolete so quickly. So it's hard to say. I think it depends on what you want for your future also. Like, I think people have different ambition levels, different outlooks on how they want their life to look. I always say, if you want the most exciting but highest risk but highest potential reward experience, like, be a founder. If there's something you want to build, you should build it. if anyone has an idea of how they want to make the world better, like a very clear idea, then you should just do it.
What I've heard though is that big tech, it's like nice and cushy. You get paid a lot. Hours, I don't know, hours aren't that crazy compared to being a founder. But for you, you left all that to join the White House. So what happened there?
I think I got a bit disillusioned. So there was a lot of stuff happening at Meta, or it was called Facebook at the time, where there was Cambridge Analytica and there was a lot of debate about the impact Facebook was having on the world. And I care so deeply about the impact I make on this world. And I started questioning, what is the impact I'm making? And what would it be like to work at a place where profit is not the bottom line? And I wanted to know, what an organization that is solely focused on providing services to its clientele, like what that would feel like, what that would look like. I thought, I would have no moral qualm of working at something where there's no profit to be made. And I saw the government as an equalizer, as a way to, not an equalizer, but I saw the government as a institution that provides services to millions of people that depend on it. And I thought that was really cool.
I was working at the White House.
Well, so it's a White House Presidential Innovation Fellowships, which is a mouthful, but it basically pairs the top technologists with a federal agency, and you work with the leadership of that federal agency. And so I actually worked with a couple, but mainly at the VA. So I worked on basically just services and technology for veterans.
Did your parents have anything to say about that career move when you joined the White House?
I think they've always just been super supportive. So they've never told me I can't do anything. I also probably wouldn't listen, but they kind of was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, you're just doing your thing. And my biggest regret was not bringing them to the White House. So the White House closed that week that I was actually in DC when COVID hit. And I had like 2 slots to bring 2 guests with me to the White House the week before everything shut down. And my biggest regret was not flying my parents out for that. So I have to bring them to the White House sometime soon, because that was my biggest regret. Was not, that's like such an American dream. Like, my immigrant parents who worked their asses off, and then I get to show them around the White House.
But you'll still get to do it, right?
I mean, hopefully.
Well, that's the American dream right there. That's awesome. Very cool story. Kind of switching gears now, diving deeper into venture was what you did next. So how did that come about? How did you join Bain Capital, Launch House, and FX? Was that like part of the Stanford GSB experience? Was that a deliberate path? What happened there?
Yeah, so I went to business school after DC, and I think being in Silicon Valley at Stanford, you can't turn a corner without running into a VC and learning more about venture capital as an industry. I thought it was an interesting a place to have impact. You're upstream of a lot of innovation and getting to be at the ground zero of change and innovation, which I thought was really cool. I got a fellowship with NFX. I was the first fellow basically built out that program. That was my first kind of real look at VC, and I loved it. And that is kind of what inspired me to look for an internship in venture that summer. So I worked at Bain Capital Ventures that summer with Sarah Smith and the team there, and they were amazing.
And that interest in VC, did that come around during your Stanford graduate school days, or have you always thought about VC even before that?
Maybe tangentially. I just never even thought about it as a career path, really. I think it just didn't register that I could do it. I just assumed it was like people who had a lot more experience than me, or maybe it was only for successful exited founders, or just it seemed like kind of uh something that was there that wasn't for me, maybe, or I just didn't know what it would take for me to do that. I didn't realize how fun of a job. I guess I should have realized, but I don't think even being even when I was in business school learning about venture capital and how to get into it, I don't think I realized how much I would love this job.
And what's interesting is you were also a founder at a certain point, right? What
Yeah.
were you building? Why did you decide to try out the founder route?
I always wanted to be a founder. Like I just always assumed I would start a company because I I I guess it started all the way back when I was a kid and I didn't get an allowance, but I would go to the store and convince my parents to let me when candy was on sale. I think I would buy it in bulk and then sell it on the playground. And
Wow.
even at that age, I was like, oh, there's arbitrage opportunities everywhere. It's like starting a company seems like such an empowering thing to do where you get to it's not just arbitrage, but you get to build you get to create value that people want. And I think that feel is probably the best feeling in the world is when you get to create something that wasn't there before that people want and be helpful. I think I really like being helpful, which is probably why I like being a VC. Not everyone thinks VCs are helpful, but I view my job as like, how can I be the most helpful possible to founders? And I think being a founder is how can I be the most helpful I can to my customers? And I think it all just comes back to, yeah, I love being helpful to people. I love providing value.
The arbitrage thing is so funny. It reminded me of back when I was in primary school, and my dad, he's in the food and beverage business, probably why I like to snack a lot, but he would give me like bags of snacks and he would tell me go to school and sell this if you want. He didn't just give me like allowance. If I wanted allowance, I'd have to work for it. So that
Uh,
was sort of like,
well,
yeah, that was sort of where I learned about, entrepreneurship and arbitrage, I guess. But what was it about building a startup that maybe no one really talks about?
great question. I think just how high the highs are and how low the lows are. Like the highs are better than just I don't think I've experienced a high like that since. Like not even like doing a great deal in VC or yeah, I just haven't experienced the high of being a founder and signing your first contract or getting your first customer or, you know, hearing from someone who used something that you did and them being really excited about it. There's just like no comparison to that feeling of creation. I don't have kids, but maybe that's like the feeling you get when you have a kid, maybe of like, like I created this and it's it's something that someone liked or paid for. It's such a cool feeling.
For sure. The lows are low, the highs are high. I'd like to take a quick little tangent here. You went viral recently, right? What happened?
Which time?
Oh my God, maybe both or I don't know, all of those times. Tell us about it. What happened? What was the aftermath? Maybe, the one where you got featured on like multiple news outlets. I don't know. You
Uh,
tell me.
I think you're talking about the time I had just started dating this guy, and he was in YC at the time, and he was coming back every night super late and exhausted. Not coming back. We weren't living together, but he would I would come home, and if he'd been over, he would just pass out, and it was just exhausting to be in YC. I think for him and probably a lot of other founders. And I snapped a photo of him and tweeted it. And I don't even remember what I said. I was joking around. I was just trying to be funny. And it totally went viral. A bunch of news outlets picked it up. And the headline was, VC or Harvard educated graduate becomes a laundry woman. Because I made a post about how, like, I cook for him, I clean for him, I do his laundry. And I should get some sweat equity or like I should get some equity.
But you posted that jokingly, right? Or half jokingly.
Yeah, and I think people thought I was serious, and it really ignited a gender debate on what partners have, what partners have a right to, because you do put in a lot of sweat equity as a partner if you're with a founder. Like it's not easy to be the partner of a founder.
It's funny how your post turned into like it caused you to be in this intersection of a heated debate. Was it? I've never gone viral, so how did that feel like? Did you feel concerned in any way, or were you sort of just like laughing through it?
Oh, I just thought it was funny. I would check my phone every couple hours, and it was like, oh wow, like people are still excited about this and talking about it.
Okay.
It's a fun feeling, but you just realize, like people are gonna get over it in a day, and everyone moves on. But it's just fun in the moment of like, oh wow, like I ignited a debate that is actually quite relevant. Like
Yeah.
being the partner is really tough. Just even giving some recognition. Like there were a lot of people who tweeted about their experience being the partner of a founder, and just like getting some recognition as a partner. That was interesting. And then all the other people who were like, well, no, women should just do all that anyway. And it's just seeing the breadth of what comes out of that.
Yeah. No, I'm sure my wife would love to talk to you and vent because it's not easy being with a founder. I feel bad. Like I'm constantly working and I feel bad for her, but she's supportive. I'm sure you are as well, to your partner. So going back to VC, why'd you decide to join Menlo? Why was that the right move for you?
Menlo, I was scouting for a bunch of funds at the time, and when I was choosing where to go, Menlo just really stood out as a fund that seemed to have incredible culture. Like the team is very tight. It feels like the Avengers, where everyone's working together, supporting each other to support founders, and it's all about the founder, how to be the best partner to them, and how we help each other to be the best partner to the founder. And I thought that was really cool, just incredibly founder centric, and the culture is probably. I mean, I've worked across teams from startups to big tech to government to all over the place, and I think this team is incredibly special. It stands above. It really stands above in terms of its supportive, collaborative, open dialogue, like just open nature. Like we don't shy away from talking about the hard things and just being really open with each other. And it's also just a fun team. Like I hang out with them and I find myself just laughing the whole time. They're really chill, but also super ambitious, and really smart, just incredibly smart people.
You're a principal at Menlo Ventures. Take us through a day in the life.
I mean, I can take you through today. I wake up. I have probably 10 back-to-back founder calls. Try to be as helpful as I can, making connections for them. Like, even if I can't invest, I always try to offer something, whether it's a connection or some feedback or whatever were my thoughts. And we, I had like 2 coffee chats with other investors who invest in a space similar, and we're talking about the space and where we see it going. And I tell her some of the companies I've been seeing, and she tells me some of the cool companies that she's seen. And it's whenever investors get together, it's a lot of like sharing notes and just interesting discussions. And I'm doing this with you. I'm gonna go to a founder dinner after this. We have internal syncs around companies we're investing in, and discussing those. And then I have a strategy session to help one of our portfolio companies think through their next year and what that looks like, and what they need to be watching out for, how they think about their next round. And so we're already, we just closed their last round, but we're helping them look to the future of what they need to do to reach the next round that will help them raise. And yeah, that's like a day in a life. But
Yeah.
every
So
day is different.
Yeah, I bet. And it sounds like there's a lot of elements of like both soft and hard skills because you need to talk to your companies about strategy and analytics, but then you had 10 back-to-back meetings or something like that, right? That's a lot of networking. You're going to all these networking events as well. My question is, what advice would you have for someone that's looking to break into VC? Do you think they also need to have Harvard, Stanford,
No,
Meta, Microsoft,
not for
White
that.
House, all of that? Or, what advice would you have for them?
I would say do the job before you get it. So I had, when I was a founder, I was asked by multiple funds to scout for them just because I was kind of out and about. I'm everywhere. I'm very involved in building community, and I always had a running list of like 30 to 50 founders at any point in time in my head of who I think are awesome and who I wanted to help out and who I was helping. And whenever I met an investor and we would chat and they mentioned this is an area they're investing in, I would quickly like pull up a list of all the founders I thought were awesome in the space they were investing in, and I would make those connections. And I think that is probably why I was asked to scout. And I think it's just doing the job before you do it. Like, what does an investor do? And just show that you're already doing it. I would say like the very tactical is like literally look up, if there's a specific fund you want to work at, research the partners you would want to work with, look up everything they've written or spoken about, look up their investments, see if you can figure out what they're interested in investing in, and then go out and find those companies and bring it to them. So that's sourcing. In terms of diligence, like, well, don't just send them everything. Like, think through why this would be a good company, why this could be potentially be $1 billion business. So that's, I mean, what is the job of VC? It's like sourcing, diligence, picking, and then winning the deal. So showing that you can get in front of the best founders, that you can add value to them, like show how you add value to both sides, offer to make valuable connections. There's many ways to go about it. You could be, what is his name, Daniel Penny, and end up at A16Z. There's definitely no one path to venture. That was just my way, is like, I kind of, not that I fell into it, but I was just so entranced by the founder ecosystem and wanting to be helpful to fellow founders at the time, that I kind of just, it was just natural because I always had that running list of folks in my head, and I love connecting people. It's just something that brings me a lot of joy. And so I was just doing that naturally. Yeah, I think it's just being helpful to whoever you come across.
No, I think I've known you for a couple of years and I would describe you as helpful. I think that's just something that you naturally are, and sounds like that's an important skill in breaking into VC. So thank you for that. How about advice for the other side, for early stage founders like me, or other founders that are maybe just starting off? Any advice for them, especially if they want Menlo to invest, or if they want to be the next $1 billion business?
Yeah, I mean, if I distilled, and I made a post about this a while ago, of everything I've learned as a VC that I wish I knew as a founder. I think one of them was understanding what kind of business you're building, like truly understanding like how you're going to make enough money to be $1 billion business if you want to raise venture, and having a very clear answer for that. Because I think a lot of founders are like, oh, this is cool, I want to build this thing. And then if you ask them enough questions, it's like, have they thought through how this business would make that money? Do they understand the dynamics of the market that they're entering in? Is there enough money there to be $1 billion business? Is there a path to even making revenue, period, in that space? And you don't need all the answers. Like, no one knows. But having a vision of the company that you want to build with an idea of how you're going to get there, I think, is important. And then another is really understanding where your conviction comes from. Like, why you are the person to be building this company and what motivates you. Like truly understanding what motivates you, because it's going to get hard. It's going to get so hard. And if your conviction doesn't come from a place of deep need to build this company, it's going to be hard, and you might you're going to give up at some point if your conviction and your will to push through anything is not there. I think that was my biggest takeaway as a founder, was understanding why I was doing what I was doing, and finally coming to terms with like the business that I was building. It was not something that I would run through fire for. Like, it's not something that I would put my family aside for. It's not, so understanding what drives you.
Yeah.
Actually, why you are doing this.
We talked about your amazing career, about, going from big tech, White House, VC. As you look back, do you think your culture and your heritage played a part in your success?
Definitely. In so many ways. I think one way that I've been thinking through a lot is the humility that comes from being an immigrant in America, where you I think the value of being helpful and to have to add impact, to add value, comes from this deep need to prove oneself when you're an immigrant in America. It's not that I'm saying that everyone feels like they're less than or something, but you come in with a bit of a chip on your shoulder because you're sort of an outsider in this world as an immigrant. And I think, not that this is a value, but I think there is the sense that you are kind of the value you provide to others. And there's kind of like a, hey, I'm here, and I'm an additive to your society. I am worthy. I want to belong. There's that feeling that I think drives me, probably, with some deep reflection, and probably part of the reason why I love being so helpful. It makes me feel like I belong here and that I'm worthy of being here. And that's probably a deeper conversation. But in terms of values, I think hard work, for sure. Just seeing how hard my parents worked, just to put food on the table, and also selflessness. I think my parents are probably the most selfless people I know, and the way they put, like, it's like a selflessness where it's like, I will give you the shirt off my back to almost anyone, or to really anyone in need. And I love how selfless they are, and I think I try to bring that into venture with me as I meet with founders, and just staying humble and remembering that founders are always doing the hard work, that VCs are not doing any of the hard work. We are there to be your biggest cheerleader. And so that humility and that that selflessness of like, we are here to help. I'm here to help. Bringing that forth into my work.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful, CC. We're Indonesian, my co-founder and I, we weren't born here, and we can definitely relate. And seeing our parents just work their butts off just so that we can have a shot, definitely, that sticks with us. I know you have networking events to go to, so let's transition to our very last topic here, which is about AI and automations. As you probably know, I'm building Dokai. We're making it dead simple for teams to automate tedious workflows, especially in sales and operations. Would love your take on this, right? Let's talk about AI. It's obviously all the hype and jazz right now. Are there specific areas where you're most excited about, or, do you think AI is just eating the world?
I definitely think AI is eating the world. There's so much more coming down the pipe that we don't even know. But in terms of the rate of change is probably something we've never thought about before. I mean, what I am super excited for myself is I think there's so much tedious Excel work, and I'm sure a lot of people think this, but why am I spending my time formatting Excel when I know exactly what I want and how to do analysis? But then I'm sitting there like trying to piece together their Excel sheets, and it's like not a good use of my time when I'm sure AI could just go through and I can put in the Excel and just ask it the questions and it produces the report I want instead of me going in. I think I just hate Excel. Uh, I and sorry, I shouldn't say I hate Excel. It's a powerful tool that I think could be a lot more intelligent. So financial analysis is one. Just anything that's tedious, right? Like I want to spend all my time thinking about the future and what the world is going to look like so we can invest in it and how to help our founders and how to meet the best founders and how to add value to them. Like those are the things I want to be thinking about, not how do I figure out how they calculated their CAC and how to format their financial statements into a way I need it to be. So that's something I would use. In terms of investment and the world, I think because I invest in consumer tech, I'm really interested in AI agents for our lives. So think agents that are able to work on your behalf to do anything that is taking your time, from purchasing things to making appointments to doing mundane things to responding to texts to making sure you're staying healthy, like navigating our healthcare system. Just a personal AI agent is something I'm really interested in, automating all of the mundane tasks of our lives.
Thank you for sharing, CC. This was so fun. An absolute blast as always. Tell everyone what you got going on and where people can find you if they want to connect.
I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Threads, Blue Sky. I'm trying to be more online at CC Gong.
Perfect. Thank you, CC. Thank you to all our viewers. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and let us know what snack we should have next. Thanks, everyone.